About One of Us is a moving collection of poems about the Holocaust that shares the memories of her parents in a unique and moving way. It was written by Janet Kirchheimer, a teaching fellow at CLOW, the National Jewish Center for Learning and Leadership. Welcome to Connecticut Style.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
Yes, we're happy to have you here. So first off, why did you, it's a book of poetry.
Yes.
Why did you choose poetry to remember the Holocaust?
I started first to write short stories, and I thought that's what I was going to do, and it wasn't right. And then I took a poetry workshop, and poetry was just the way for me to express what happened with my family. And I was in this workshop for over 10 years and wrote enough poems to have a book.
Wow. Tell me a little bit about your history.
My parents are Holocaust survivors from Germany, and my father came to this country in 1939. My mom came in 1938. My father was arrested in Dachau, was arrested on Kristallnacht and taken to Dachau in 1939. And my mom was a 6-year-old girl, and she was was able to get out of Germany and go to an orphanage in Amsterdam, in Holland, and she waited there for 2 years until her parents could get visas to come to the United States.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And the cover of the book has so many incredible pictures. Where did you find these? How did you compile all these?
My parents were able to bring pictures with them. And when they came, and they always kept them, and I knew, you know, as a poet, it's always difficult to get a book published, but I knew in my heart of hearts, if I ever did, I knew all these pictures had to be on the cover. Yeah. That I had to remember the family that survived and the family that didn't survive. I had to remember them in this book, and I knew that putting pictures on the cover was the way to do that.
So, Janet, why is it so important that we do remember the Holocaust?
Because genocides, mass killings, hate crimes, they still keep happening. It's always there, and it's not stopped, and it's important to remember that. And human beings are still treated as less than human beings, and it's important to remember to this day, and for always.
And besides getting your book, how can we do that?
I think that there are 2 ways to remember. Judaism talks about remembering, that we must know the history, and also we must act. It's not enough just to remember. We must act. We must always try to make this world a better place. And that's what we always need to do. And I try to contribute through my poetry.
I'd love to hear a sample, if you don't mind.
Sure. I would like to start with a poem actually about my mom.
Okay.
And it's called The Photograph in My Hand. My mother, 4 years old, blonde curls, wearing a smocked dress in a field of goldenrod, her doll on her lap and her dog at her side. 2 years later, the girl in the photograph would be backed up against a wall at school by kids in her class for refusing to say Heil Hitler, and they would throw rocks, beat her up, call her Judah, Jew. Her dress would be torn, and her parents would have to find a way to get her out of Germany. She would be sent to an orphanage in Amsterdam, and they would wait 2 years for their visas to America. I want to ask the girl what would become of her if her parents hadn't found a way out. Would she have survived? Would she have been experimented on like her cousin Hani, who returned home after the war and rarely left her room? Or would she, like another cousin, Bertel, have tried to cross the Pyrenees into Spain and never be heard from again? What if Hitler had never come to power? Would she and her parents still have come to America? Would she have met my father? And who would she have married if she stayed in Germany? And who would she have become? And what would have become of me? I cannot let go of it.
Oh, and it's so touching, especially because your mother's here today.
Yes,
we had a chance to meet her. So,
yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
that is very touching. And you have another one.
I do. I have another poem called Family History. The doctor comes in, introduces himself, asks questions about my health. Good. Recent illnesses? None. Operations? Tonsils removed when I was 4. Maternal grandparents? Grandmother died at 92 from old age. Grandfather died at 66 from a heart attack. Paternal grandparents, died before I was born. The doctor says it is important for my medical history to know how they died. So I tell him they died in Auschwitz. He has no more questions and tells me to undress for the physical exam.
It comes up even
Right.
today, and that's why it's so important
Yes.
to remember it.
Right, and there are times when you don't even think that it will become part of the conversation, and you go to the doctor and they
There it
start
is.
asking you, and there it is. Yeah.
Janet, where can we find your book?
You can find my book on barnesandnoble.com or amazon.com or through the organization where I work, klal.org. It's available through any of those places.
And when is the Holocaust Remembrance
Holocaust Remembrance Day is April 19th.
Okay.
And it is remembered every year.
Day? Very good. Thank you so much for
Thank
being here and
you.
sharing your
Thank
poetry with
you.
us.
Thank you. It's really an honor for me to be here.
Sure
Thank
thing.
you so much.
All right.